Always remember.
Hello there, General Kenobi. Say it back. Happy Monday. It is May 20, or wait, no, it's not even Monday. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday.
This is weird. This is a weird one-off Wednesday determined focus. I was away from the base on Monday, and we figured we'd let everybody in chat and everybody who's going to be listening to this and watching this have an extra couple days to go see Mando and Grogu, because we are going to be talking spoilers.
Yeah, this will be like a actual proper review. We dropped a clip a while back about kind of talking our thoughts of like kind of just overall impressions and things. We had to be vague and whatnot, but this will be a more of a free-flowing discussion. Eventually there'll be like a spoiler section, stuff like that. So I think it's safe to assume that everybody in the chat has seen this movie. But if you haven't, be warned. And we'll warn you right before we get into it.
Yeah. I think the only person I can think of who hasn't seen it who would be in chat is... Wait, no, Gabby saw it. Who was I thinking of? Yeah. There's somebody who I was thinking of that like hadn't seen it, and I was like, oh my gosh, you still haven't seen it? Yeah, but it's Wednesday, my dudes. And this is weird. It's a weird determined focus for Wednesday. We are almost tomorrow would have been a full week since The Mandalorian and Grogu has been released.
Yeah, the last time I saw it was on Thursday last week. So So wait, how many times have you seen it?
Same as you, 2.5 times.
Oh, okay. There you go.
We both saw it together, and we both saw it the first, or 2.25 times, maybe.
I was about to say, because it was like the first 20 minutes or so. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Cool. So we're on an equal playing field right now. 4.4 times or something like that.
Yeah, 4.5 times if we saw a quarter of the movie. 4 1/3. Yeah. We've seen it 4.66 times. 4.666666 times.
Repeating. But before we get into that, we should probably get into the chat here, because we got some people that are still showing up even though it is a Wednesday.
Let's go.
Cole, focus number 3. Thanks for being here, dude. We appreciate you. We have I am rolling. Already getting to the Mando talk here. Release the Amani. Sonny,
dude, he was just at Galaxy's Edge. Did you see? I don't know if you saw his story. The sipper cup that they released for Mando and Grogu, and it's Mando's jetpack, and Grogu is on the shoulder. So like you wear it as like a backpack.
Yeah,
and it's got the straw that you like sip out of for drinks.
What,
dude? It's sick. He's posting on his story, and I'm like, I kind of want that.
That's so okay. Interesting. So like, is it like a life-size Grogu is like on your shoulder, basically?
I think it's like popcorn bucket size smaller. Where like, you know, like the 3PO helmet or the protocol droid helmet they just released, that was a popcorn bucket that like lights up. It's not the regular size of an actual protocol droid's head, but it's big enough where it looks like you're carrying around a head.
Yeah.
It's just like a bit smaller, but I mean, he was holding it in his hand, and it was like, I don't know, it was pretty big. And then like Grogu's on the side, so like if you have it on your back, there's a Grogu sticking out of your shoulder.
That's cool,
which is sick.
That is pretty dope. Sonny, focus number 9.
Hey, Sonny.
Happy Wednesday. Thanks for being here. We got Limitless Nerd, focus 6, standing by. I think the last time that I went live, because was that before or after? Yes, it was. It was after.
I think that was on Tuesday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was the last time that I've been live, whatever. You weren't able to make it, but me,
Nope.
Carly, and Gabe, yeah, it was unfortunate. We had a good discussion about Maul Shadow Lord, which was a lot of fun, and then we didn't talk a whole lot about Mando and Grogu or whatever, but because we couldn't, not yet at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for being here, dude. We got Ryan. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for being here, man. Got HD Game Tube, General Kenobi.
What up? What up?
We already did that. Oh, and Josh, you already did. We got Owen. Thank you for being here, dude. Blade of Merrick focus number. We don't know. There's after a point where we really don't know.
Honestly, here's my thing at this point. If you become a member, you get to pick your number, and as long as somebody else doesn't already have it,
yeah,
that's what number you are.
That's fine by me. That's completely okay. I think that's like playground rules, you know.
Yeah.
But I got Star Wars Insight 007 standing by. Also, he dropped a video about his top 5 Star Wars books and tagged me about he did one about Shadow of the Sith today. He's like doing some on camera stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Whoa! So, wait, I saw that there was going to be a face reveal.
Yeah, he was the one that won the Shadow of the Sith giveaway from Tales from the Archives. So
yeah,
so he was talking about that, which is really cool. And Limitless Nerd has been a member for 8 months, and so is Insight, and so is Josh. So thank you all for being members. We appreciate you. Thanks for flying with Focus Squadron. Okay. And we also have Matthew Green. I don't know about this one. This one might be blacklisted.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to the council about that one.
Yeah. And then Downcast Bug, Focus 5. Thank you for being here, dude. So yeah, we checked in with the chat. Honestly, I was gonna write notes and stuff down, like for like overall thoughts, but I think I'd rather just kind of have like organic, just like discussion about it, and just also kind of peep into the chat as we talk about stuff. So should we talk about it without spoilers, or should we just we should just straight up have spoilers at this point?
Yeah, I think there are going to be spoilers for this. I will say, so for this, we're going to talk about what we liked about the film, what we liked about Mandalorian and Grogu, what we liked about the experience of Mandalorian and Grogu, as well as some things that maybe we weren't so hot on. This, in our opinion, this was not a 10 out of 10. It was, for me, a 10 out of 10 experience in the theater, but removing the experience from it, which was a lot of fun. I do think there's something to be said for the film itself in terms of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. I do have this, though. This was the best pun I could come up with. We're talking about you talk about strengths and weaknesses. You talk about pros and cons. You talk about Grogu's and Glogu's.
Oh my god. Is that what you've been working on this whole time?
We're talking about Grogu's and Glogu's. You ever heard of Grows and Glows?
No.
Like it's like a corporate thing where they're like, oh, give me five glows and two grows. And you're like, okay, here's five things that were really great, and here's 2 things that I just wish we could grow on, So we got
cornball.
we got Grogu's and Glogu's. What?
Gabby's with the crickets.
Hey Gabby, go talk to Lanny and Noah. Okay.
Hey, Gabby, we gotta. You should. I've been seeing your repost of off-campus edits. All right, I'm just letting you know. I watched the whole show. So one of us.
One of us.
Yeah. Anyway, that's really funny. Yeah,
it's the best I can come up with. Hey, somebody in chat, think of something better. Think of something better that's a pros and cons style thing for the Mandalorian. Think about it.
Man do's and man don'ts.
but it would have to be the Mandalorians and Mandalorians.
I don't know about that one.
The Mandalorians and Grogu, and the Mandalorian and Grogu.
The Gara yeses and the Arella no's.
The Gator really liked it, and the Gator really didn't like it. Gatori. What do you mean?
Oh, wait.
Gatori's the guy in the Gator guy on the.
Oh, yeah. They never say his name, and I was like trying to figure out who he was, and then I saw it in the credits. He's voiced by, was it Stephen McKinley Henderson? Is that his name?
Yeah. What's his name from Dune?
Yeah, he plays like the computer guy that fix hyperspace travel in Dune. The Radas and the Nadas.
Oh, I like that.
It's okay. You know what?
I like that.
There's a lot like that. The Shikar ups and the Shikar downs. That's funny.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about the Grogus and the Glogus of the Mandalorian and Grogu. What we didn't like, what we did like. Do you have a number rating for the movie before we get into it?
Yeah, it's kind of gone up and down for me.
I agree.
Since walking out, I had a rating. After watching it, after simmering a couple days, it changed, and then after seeing it a second time, it changed again and simmering a little bit. So I'll say my arc here of how I rate it. When we saw it for the first time, admittedly, it was like a 6 out of 10 for me. Okay. I did not love it. I was just like, I feel kind of above lukewarm on it. I was like, I had a fun time, but it really didn't do a whole lot for me when we started. Then as I simmered on for a couple days, I thought about it more, and I was like, actually, I enjoyed that a lot more than I feel like I'm letting on. And so it went up to like a 7.5, I would say. And I was like, no, like that actually, I do enjoy that film quite a lot. And then I saw it a second time, and it went up to like an 8 for me. But then the more I simmered on it, I think it went back down to like a 7. So right now, for me, The Mandalorian and Grogu is probably a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's not great, I think. And for me, as the things that I like in Star Wars, is I like when Star Wars, I guess, I want to say takes big risks, or at least what I've been telling people is I'm like, it takes big swings, okay? And there's something intriguing and something that's like, kind of like expands the universe a lot, or really just adds depth or adds these like new characters and stuff. And really all I wanted walking into this movie was not this great lore driven experience or this like crazy chapter. Although there was part of me that was hoping for that. What I was really hoping for was a really like deep story about Din and Grogu. And I still felt a little wanting after that.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't think Din has I don't really think he has much of character development in this. I think there was moments where he could. I was listening to Star Wars Explain, Alex talk about it, and he's like, there's moments where like they feel like they set stuff up. Like I feel like Din could have had a bit of a connection with Rada, because Rada is really kind of the heart of this movie. I think like he has the most depth in this film, and I was like, oh, Rada was a Hutt, and he came from a bad past, and Din came from a bad past, and of like them kind of breaking out of that legacy and being their own people and being better, right? And they never really quite follow up on that. It's kind of just more like they kind of throw it out there, and then it's just that's that. And then regarding the connection with Grogu, like I think I was still left wanting a little bit more. Like I think Grogu did get some strides of like becoming more in the spotlight, but I did feel like when the movie ended, I was like, oh, they really kind of leave off exactly where they started, other than Mando has a new ship and a new gun. That being said, I think the action in this movie is great. I think the music is great. I think the cinematography, like I love the usage of like practical effects and CG, and like that it feels more of like the most like Dark Crystal Labyrinth like type of Star Wars movie we've ever seen, in the sense of like it's not a whole lot of humans, you know, which I think is the fun thing about Star Wars. Is like you have something like Andor, which is a very human-driven story, and whereas this is very much like it's aliens, it's masked people, it's creatures, it's like it's a droid. It's like it's a lot of the like Star Warsy things. I think the big thing for me is like when I kind of conclude like my little mini analysis or whatever is that like I think I didn't have a whole lot left. There's not a whole lot to chew on after watching this movie, in my opinion. And I think Molly said that as well in their review, and I was like, yeah, like I think like I walked out and I was like, oh, like there's just not a ton that I'm left like stewing over or like simmering about or being like, wow, like I really want to see that scene again. Now I did want to see the movie again because in our experience we had a great time at the premiere, but in the seat that we were in, it was kind of hard to tell what was going on.
It was like, look, we are so happy to have been there. Star Wars, thank you so much, and we'll sit wherever if we're allowed to go to that stuff.
Absolutely.
But it was potentially the two worst seats in the theater. Like I could think of two seats that were worse, and that was because they were right in front of us. And outside of that, I think we had the worst seats in the theater, which is fine. I mean, we got to watch a Star Wars movie in the Chinese theater where Star Wars premiered. Like we went to a Star Wars premiere. We are so grateful and thankful, but also like we're not saying we needed to be sitting somewhere else, but it is also that thing of like, okay, if I'm going to have an analysis of this movie or even like just want to see it again, I kind of want to be, look, I am a sucker for the way movie theaters are now where I can pick my seats. And that was something we could not do. And I will change the time of the movie I am going to based on where I can sit. Yeah. And there was not another showing. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So on Thursday, I was able to pick my seats and go. And like I've been saying this to you and some other people, the second time I watched that movie was so much. I enjoyed it so much more. And I do think a lot of it was because I could actually see the movie.
Yeah. We were pretty much, someone was asking like they were saying, but like because it was too close or far, we were like the screen. If you like you're whatever you're watching this on, shrink yourself down to about a 100th of that screen size, okay? And then here's my phone, okay? This is us. All right. This is the screen. We're right here.
Yep.
We were right here. We were looking up at the screen this way.
Yeah. We could not like for spoilers. And I saw Coco Crisp say, are spoilers okay? Yeah, spoilers. This is going to be a spoiler-free chat or spoiler-filled chat. There were parts of the movie where like the fight scenes in the bar or like the stuff underwater where honestly, I was just like, I guess I kind of just have to wait for them to change the scene because I couldn't tell what was happening at that showing. Now, obviously I understand what's going on and I could understand the theming and I understand, okay, they're probably fighting, but like for me to like actually, we could not see the whole screen in the way that we wanted to, which is fine.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's like we were not complaining because like we were in a Star Wars. We were watching it, like you said, Chinese theater, IMAX, with the people who made the movie, and that in and of itself is complete. And to be fair, it's not like we just couldn't see anything. It was just a little bit more difficult, like in certain scenes where you're having to like adjust your eyes, you know. So that was kind of the downside of that experience. But that is not us complaining or anything like that.
No, not at all. Dude.
Just the preface of why we also felt the way we did first walking out. Yeah. So, I mean, that's like my overall initial thoughts. There's a lot of like story beats and stuff, but I gave you a very long answer to a very simple question, which was, what is my number rating for the movie? Right now, it is a 7 out of 10. And we are going to be doing our personal Star Wars film rankings here in a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll see where I put it in my ranking and I will give further explanation.
Yeah.
as well when we get to that.
Yeah. For me, I'm a little bit higher. I'm about a 7.5 to an 8. I think after I saw it, we both kind of got out of the theater at the same time when we saw it on Thursday, and I
Yeah.
texted you and I was like, dude, I am so much higher on this movie now than when we first saw it.
Yeah.
And I think you were too. And something that there are so many things that I can compare this movie to within Star Wars that gave me the same or a similar experience. The biggest thing for me, Star Tours, I will say, some Star Wars comics, some one-off comics, some one-off arcs of the Clone Wars, the original Clone Wars 2003 film or 2008 film that Dave Filoni did with Rada the Hutt in it. Stuff like that. Some EU books, some smaller children's Star Wars novels as well. There were some Genndy comics that were coming out around the time of Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, where they were like little like dime store style books.
Yeah.
I have a couple with like Quinlan Voss and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those I would compare it to that. And those are all things, the Star Wars holiday special, even stuff like that, where like those are things in Star Wars that I adore. I love Star Tours. I love the park aspect of things. I love the immersion of that kind of world and building a vibe for Star Wars, which is great because it feels like you're in it and you don't have to do a lot of homework, and you're not doing it. If you're a Star Wars fan like us and everybody else in the chat, like, you're not doing work while you're watching, which a lot of us enjoy as Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But you aren't really. There's stuff in Star Tours where like you can really get nitpicky of like, oh, you see that ship, or like, oh, you see that droid. And that's the kind of stuff where like us as fans, we choose to do that, but that's not the point of what it is. And that's kind of how I feel about Mando and Grogu is the movie was marketed as a playful adventure movie in the same style as Spielberg, Indiana Jones. When Jon Favreau was on stage at Star Wars Celebration in Japan after coming out with Pedro and Kathy, and they announced Sigourney Weaver and stuff like that, he's on the live stage and he's talking about not what it compares to within Star Wars, but like what George and Spielberg did with Indy and and that kind of vibe. And I really think the thing that made me realize what this movie was after watching the movie, and not necessarily in a bad way of like, if somebody was to watch this movie and they haven't seen anything with the Mandalorian, maybe they have some Grogu toys or whatever, and they're like, oh, what's this with the Mandalorian? I honestly would tell somebody to watch this movie first and then watch the 3 seasons of the show, because this is a great like slice of life meal. It's a great dish that was chefed up by Jon Favreau to understand who Mando and who Grogu is, and what they do, and what their style is, and what the style of the Mandalorian and Grogu is within the world of Star Wars. And look, we say a lot of times that Star Wars is a buffet. This is just one style of meal that you could have at that buffet. And it took me a little bit longer to understand that. But once I did understand that, I loved this movie so much more, because there's so, like, you can tell this movie is a love letter to Star Wars. It's just not a Star Wars movie like we have ever gotten before.
Yeah.
We are really big fans of Solo. Yeah. I would say comparatively, it's a lot like Solo, I think, in terms of it being like a story that's like within the world of Star Wars. And it doesn't really have stakes in terms of like changing the galaxy, or even necessarily stakes of like, Han Solo is going to live at the end of Solo. Lando Calrissian's going to live. The Millennium Falcon is going to be there. Chewbacca lives. All those other characters that die throughout, it's like, all right, I understand, but you can kind of get the gist because A New Hope is a thing.
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu is kind of that same thing, but without us knowing what the future of the character is.
Mhm.
And that, I think, is what was weird for me initially watching the movie was, okay, if I at least knew where they were going, I could have gone on this ride and been like, okay, at least I understand what's next. For this, we have to assume that they're set up for the New Republic with stuff like Ahsoka season 2. Maybe Dave gets his movie. We know that there's going to be Starfighter next year, but like that takes place after the sequels. Like in the time of the New Republic, which is right now, in the time around and after 9 ABY, which we are circling, we really don't know what comes next. And that makes me more excited for Ahsoka season 2 because, look, the action was fantastic. Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder are the best parts of this movie as Mando. I will say that there is a weird thing with like Pedro only being on screen for like 10 minutes. And I understand it's Mando and like the face. It's this weird thing because you have to compare, is Mando's helmet more iconic than Pedro's face as Mando?
Yeah.
And I would say probably yes.
Mm-hmm.
That silhouette and that T-visor and that Mandalorian helmet is more iconic and more audience grasping. But I do think there's something to be said for the Indiana Jones of it all, where in the movie, there's a point where when he's fighting the sea snake or whatever it is, and one of the twins drops the helmet, and the whole time he's like fighting, and then he turns around and it's there. And that was the moment that I was like, this is an Indiana Jones movie because the hat always comes back.
Yep.
And that, as much as it is cool for it to be the style of an Indiana Jones movie, and Pedro's not going to be in the suit all the time, that's just never going to happen. As much as like, and we were thinking about it for season 3 or even after season 3 of what's going to happen with the whole logistics of the taking the helmet off and the bathing in the waters, whatever. But like that made me realize that this was exactly an Indiana Jones movie, and it was exactly how it was marketed. And I think I failed going into the movie as somebody who was watching all of that marketing. I failed because I got caught up in the what do I expect out of Star Wars versus what am I being told this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we walked out of that premiere, we were eating and we went out with some people afterwards. But Brandon from Talking Bay 94, Brandon Way Nerdy, he's the best. He was actually just on Pop Culture Jeopardy. That episode came out yesterday. But he came up to us and he was like, "Hey, what did you guys think?" And we were more like speechless about the movie because we didn't really know how to feel. And he was like, "Okay, I felt the exact same way," because he had seen the movie the day before at that point for some press stuff. And he was like, when you see the movie a second time, you're going to enjoy it so much more because all of that, like everything that has that baggage that comes with Star Wars for watching a Star Wars movie is washed away at this point. You know, it's not really there. And it's more references and nods and cameos and things, or not even cameos, but like little Easter eggs for Star Wars fans to look at and go, "Oh my gosh, can you believe that?"
Yeah.
Rather than it be like, "Oh, a lightsaber," or something like that. There wasn't any of that weight that comes with a Star Wars movie for fans who know what a Star Wars movie is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was totally right that the second time I was like, okay, now I get what this movie is trying to do. And also watching it in a room of Star Wars fans and a lot of normies, and my wife sitting right next to me who she likes Star Wars. She's a fan of Star Wars, but like obviously not like we are. Yeah. She's a casual. She likes it. She likes to watch with me. She loves Ahsoka, but like, and she loves Grogu. And that was her favorite part of the Mandalorian series when the Mandalorian was coming out, of like watching that and being like, "Oh, Grogu, like she's the demographic for Grogu." And watching with her and watching with a room filled with Star Wars fans, but mainly casuals, and it was a packed theater, which was great to see. I was transported back to like watching Force Awakens and watching Last Jedi and watching Rise of Skywalker, where like, regardless of how I felt about that movie or about those movies and how I feel about those movies now, like, and even Rogue One and Solo and sitting in the theaters for those is like, there's nothing like being in a 3-wall, 1-screen room with a bunch of people watching Star Wars on the big screen.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this movie is. And a lot of people are like, oh, this movie is a popcorn movie. And a lot of people hear the words fun and popcorn movie. And Eric Voss from New Rockstar said it. He was like, a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, there is an air of like, maybe it's not worth my time. If somebody says it's fun, or, oh, it's a popcorn movie. There's a lot of, I can think of other movies and other genres where it's like that with like a Fast and the Furious or like a Mission Impossible or something like that, where it's like, you're not really going to get a ton out of it other than like you get to sit and veg and watch a movie.
Yeah.
And this was that version of what Star Wars can do there. And it was great. That's why I give it a 7.5 to an 8. A lot of the experience of it takes there. We're going to talk about some stuff that I think could have been done better with the movie. But yeah, once again, long-winded way of being like, it's like a 7.5. It's like an 8 for me. I thought it was great. The second viewing of this movie, I walked out and I was like, I cannot wait to watch that movie again. I still can't wait. I'm trying to figure out when I can go see it a third time, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do think this was an incredibly low stakes film, and that's exactly what it was supposed to be, I think. And like I said, I think I failed to read into the marketing as somebody who was buying into it. And I can tell you a lot about what Jon Favreau was saying about it, but in the voice of me being a Star Wars fan in the way that I am a Star Wars fan took over versus me being like, oh, let's go see a movie.
Yeah.
That happens to be Star Wars. And I think that was the biggest thing for me initially. I'll tell you what, though, when we saw the first 22 minutes or however it was, dude, that's still my favorite part of the movie.
I agree. Yeah.
It was that first episode, if you want to call it, within the movie, phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It's just the way the movie changes towards the back half and not necessarily into the third, like the third of the film I liked, but like my favorite part and my favorite experience, if I had to rank our experiences watching, were, and this is just the movie, this is not the event itself, was my second viewing of Mando and Grogu when we were at the IMAX, the sneak preview thing, the fan screening, and then the premiere.
Yeah.
And that's how because I was like, I was really up, and then I was like, I don't know. And then that second time I was up. I honestly think I'm going to see it this third time and be like, I love this thing. And I do love it right now, but I think I'm going to, much like an Ewok Adventures or a Star Wars Holiday Special, or like I said, some episodes of Clone Wars, this thing is going, I think this thing is going to grow on fans so much and so rapidly, which I think it already is for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people in chat being like, my second time seeing it, I loved it way more. My second time seeing it, loved it way more. But like, it's just a different version of Star Wars. And I don't think I should have been expecting what I think we are going to get with Starfighter next year in Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah, I feel you. It does suck for me, and I do think this impacts my feeling of the movie, is when I saw it a second time, there was only, including myself, there was only 5 people in the theater.
Really? Dude, the theaters that I was going by, packed in Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They did a bunch of different showings, IMAX and standard. We ended up seeing it standard for the second showing. I liked it. I liked it in standard more than I liked it when we saw it in IMAX. And I mean, like, I'm sure in IMAX it would look great if I was able to see the whole screen, but like we saw it standard and I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'm stoked for this to come out on Disney Plus and to be able to just throw this on in the background and go through it and be like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm excited about that sort of stuff. It did bum me out a little bit when I was like, there's like, oh, hopefully this fills up. And like, we went to a 6:30 or 6:05 p.m. screening Thursday night. Like, and I've gone to every early screening opening for a Star Wars film since The Force Awakens. And Force Awakens I saw twice and it was completely filled theater. Last Jedi, same way. Rise of Skywalker, same way. Rogue One, same way. Solo, I'm trying to remember, did I see Solo the night before? Or I think I actually saw it the day of. I think we went in the middle of the day. Even then, still like half the theater full, like in the middle of a Friday. And this one, it was my dad, and you're talking about a lot of like Indiana Jones stuff. I'll talk about that in a second because my dad had similar opinions, but it was like me, my dad, someone that he knew, and then like a family in the front. It was basically like a husband and a wife and their like baby. They're like little baby in a stroller, and that was it. And I was like, that bummed me out a little bit. That I was like, it would be nice to be having like a full theater reaction right now. And to be fair, that theater doesn't get a whole lot of love anyway.
You said that the screen is like pretty bad too, right?
It's like yellow, dude. Like I don't like. I was like, when they were on the snow planet, I was like, bro, why is it yellow?
So hopefully the people who were like closest to you, they drove somewhere else to go watch it.
Maybe that's what it was, because there's a few theaters around here for me. But my dad, so I watched it with my dad as well, and he's a really big Star Wars fan. I mean, like he's I would say he's as big as I am. And I was curious on what he would think about the movie. And we walked out and he was just like, no, he was like, that was a good time. Like, it reminded me a lot of something like Temple of Doom, where like, you know, it's like nothing is really happening a whole lot with the characters. Like, there's not these like crazy arcs or anything.
Yeah.
He's like, there's like an adventure that's kind of set forth, and like you're just kind of going on this ride, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I was like, no, that is true. And like Din is very indie now, like in terms of and it makes sense when you think about it in that way. And I'm like, it would just be if Indy had short round around all the time, you know?
That's it. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, which is fun stuff. But yeah, so I wish I'd gotten it with like another full experience or something like that, but you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I mean, there's still a lot in the movie that I really like. I mean, getting into like spoiler stuff. Like those first 20-30 minutes are really awesome. I really enjoy that action set piece. I love that opening. It's a really just good, like, kind of like very much like Indiana Jones tail end of one adventure before he goes off into the next adventure. Raiders does it. Temple of Doom does it. Crusade does it. Crystal Skull does it. Dial actually kind of does, sort of does it with the flashback thing, but that stuff I enjoyed that format a lot, and I really like the pacing in the front half. The back half I was a little less on. I think it drags out a little bit. There's some points like where I'm like, okay, this could be moving a little bit faster. Like we could probably be getting here. But you know, that it wasn't like a deterrence or anything. But like one thing that we talked about a lot is I really, really liked Rada in this movie. Like I was actually very surprised how much I liked Rada. I've seen people say that like Jeremy Allen White is like kind of phoning in the performance, and I'm like, I don't really feel that way.
I'm going to be honest. There are some interviews where he like was kind of like, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing. And then
really,
like, there's one interview that I watched. I was like, oh boy, where he's like sitting there and he's like, you know, they talked to me about it. And I was like, yeah, I'll come read. And then he was like, a couple months later, it turned into a way bigger thing than I think they initially pitched to me.
Yeah.
So I went in and read a little bit more. And then it was like a couple months later, and now it's this like huge thing, and he's like a big part of the movie. And he was like, it's the way he made it sound. It was like he read a lot of stuff for Rada, and they used all of it.
And
he was like, I wasn't expecting them to use all of it. And he said, he's like, he was like, I'm happy that this movie, because he wasn't at the premiere. He's the one guy from the cast who was not at the premiere.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, when you look at the scale of stuff that he's done, like the most recent thing that he's done was the Bruce Springsteen biopic.
Yeah.
He's not really doing stuff like this. And like Shameless, The Bear, this, like he's doing some pretty nitty gritty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a giant space look, whose nickname is Stinky the Hut, like, is very different from what he's usually going to do. But he did say at the end of the interview, or at the end of the clip that I watched, of like, I'm happy that I was able to do something that my kids will be able to go and enjoy, because I don't normally get to do that. And I think that's a lot of the reason why he did it. Truthfully, from the interviews, I got a lot of Harrison Ford from it, of like, Harrison Ford loves Star Wars and he loves like the fans, but also like, if you were to go up to Harrison Ford and be like, hey, DL44, he'd be like, get the hell out of my face.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that's how Jeremy Allen White was. And he's going to be with, like, I don't think we're going to see JAW at a fan expo event where he's going to be signing
celebration.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but like, I don't think he's going to be walking up and like, so when you were Rod of the Hut, he's going to be smoking a cigarette. He's going to be like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not invested like this. He's not a Star Wars fan, you know?
Yeah. And that's fine. And honestly, it kind of makes it a little bit more fun where like, I was sitting there like, oh, this guy's Jeremy Allen White. Like, I'm just kind of like, oh, they just like kind of got this guy to just do the voice. And I don't know. I do kind of appreciate that The Mandalorian does that sort of stuff. Like, I will say the one actor that I was a little bummed was like pretty minimally in the movie that they hyped up a lot was Sigourney.
She's not in the movie a lot.
Like, she's very much a tertiary character, you know?
Yeah.
And that is that's a little bit of a bummer. She's like in the middle, she's in the beginning, she's at the end, and she's great, but I thought she was gonna have a little bit more of a significant role. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, she's more of a Christopher Lloyd in Mando season 3, or I'm trying to think of like other like kind of B-side characters, like you're just like, oh, this is like kind of a big face playing a smaller character sort of thing. But I'm also like, some people, they get kind of turned off by that stuff because they're like, oh, like it makes me like not feel like I'm in Star Wars, and I'm like, I don't, that like, right, like that didn't really feel like that.
No, I didn't. It didn't take me out seeing Sigourney Weaver's face. I think the thing that is interesting to me though, and like I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's more just something that it's interesting to think of, like when you think of the characters in this movie and what like tier she would be at in terms of like not only screen time but like kind of importance to the movie, is like her and like Doug Chang and Dave Filoni and like Deborah Chow and like those X-Wing pilots are all, and even like Paul Sun Hyung Lee, of like, they're kind of all on the same tier. And like, that's cool that Sigourney's in that group, because it also is like, that elevates that group for me. And it shows the importance of it. And it's like, Star Wars is just about the story and it's about the characters, whatever. But there is also a thing of like, if there is a Mando season 4, is Sigourney going to be in it giving Mando like missions?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I could see her maybe like being a little bit more of this advisor type character. Someone brought up, on the chat is chiming off a lot. Lima Stern was like, oh, should have gone to Carson Teva or Hera. I definitely could see with Carson Teva for sure.
I would have loved, but we'll talk about it later with the cameos and stuff of like, because there were so many people. I mean, we all do it with Star Wars of like, who's going to be in this movie? Who would it make sense to see in this movie? And there wasn't any of them.
Yeah.
Literally nobody was correct of who they thought they were going to see in this movie, because there wasn't anybody other than who was in the movie.
Yeah. And I imagine if it was like Imbo was hidden or something, that would have been like, oh, like that would have been like, I think some of these things I'm like, man, it would have been interesting if it was hidden. Like, I know it's kind of hard to hide like Rada or Imbo or something like that. Like that could have been, I think, very cool. I do think that is not necessarily a complaint of mine, but something more of a wish where I was like I said, I like when Star Wars takes big swings or like when there's just some sort of connection to the larger universe, you know?
Right.
The biggest one for me that I like, which I had seen in the first 25 minutes of when we did it, was like the Droid Gashra stuff. Like that was, I was like, oh, that's a fun niche reference right there. Of like that's cool. They're pulling.
Oh, there's so many weird little things in this movie that are dude. This movie is wall to wall with little references to other parts of the galaxy.
Yeah,
and they do fantastic jobs, but it's just like it's a little bit like all of that stuff is really cool, but then there's also a thing of like, I don't know, you think of Solo and then you think of like Maul being in that, or like Rogue One, and obviously Vader was in a lot of it, and like, but like the hallway scene at the end with Vader, it's like there's always a thing like in Star Wars that you can hang your hat on in terms of like, oh, there's like a weird big thing.
Yeah.
And this movie didn't have one of those, which is fine, but it just didn't have one of those.
Yeah, it didn't. And I think like, I think you're kind of used to that at some point of something a little bit more expansive. Like, and so, yeah, that was something that I wish had happened. Like there was my expectations on that department were pretty low, but even then part of me was like, maybe we'll get like even just like a Thrawn name drop, like not even an appearance, just like some Imperial, like a coin being like, like, oh, I can give you information about, like, he's like yelling at Mando, like, I can give you information about like Thrawn, like we know he's back and stuff like that. And
or even
Mando
like
just like doesn't even care,
like how they kept saying long live the Empire. If you just got one guy like in somebody else's ear, like long live Thrawn or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like just, and everybody's like, whoa,
yeah,
that would have been enough. But like, and I don't think we always need that. And I'm not saying like,
no,
the MCUification of everything, where it's like there's always got to be a reference to something else. But it is something where I'm like, I don't know. Even like the other Mandalorians, like the Armorer. Sneezed. But like the Armorer, like we didn't get, or even like a reference to oh my gosh, what the heck's his name? Apollo Creed.
Oh, Carl Weathers.
Yeah, but what's his character in?
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Why am I blanking? Grief Karga. Like none of that, which is weird.
Yeah. I think that was the thing that they didn't know necessarily, like maybe how to navigate, which I get. Like obviously he flies over the town, and then there's like a reference, like over the door where like the creatures bust out of the Dedrick.
Yeah, it's like
creatures.
it's like Creed's or like Carl's Apollo or something like that, or Weathers Apollo.
Yeah, Weathers Apollo, yeah. Which is fun, but yeah, I like. But one hand, on one hand, I do kind of appreciate that they didn't throw in anything. Like people are very critical of like they thought this movie was going to be a cameo fest, of like, oh, here's this character and this character, and it's like I kind of appreciate that it wasn't. Now I do think it would have made sense in some areas. Like I think Mando season 2 is a really solid way of like incorporating cameos into the whole shtick of it. It makes sense for the story, but I'm like, I kind of appreciate that there's not like a Ezra showing up and Hera showing up and Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. And now I would have loved if maybe one character showed up, like if like just even a little nugget, right? Of like,
yeah, your big thing before the premiere was like you thought we were going to see the Falcon at some point.
That was more of a hope than a wish. Sorry, more of a hope and a wish than it was an actual logical guess.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be cool. Like, was really hoping maybe a Lando, like to show up of like, Lando the Lady Luck, like you patrol around a hut space of like something, right? Some little like thing that maybe would have made a little bit more sense, or like even a Hondo, like to tie in with the new ride thing of like. And I think
Hondo would have been great.
And you could have introduced the character, and new audiences could have been like, I have no idea who this guy is, and don't like feel like an Imbo. The way they did that of like Imbo's just there. They don't need to explain of like, oh, Imbo's in the Clone Wars, blah blah blah. Like general audiences don't need to know that. We know that, like, because we're fans of the stuff. But it's very much like, here's this character. He's a bounty hunter. He's going after Din. and they do a great job with that, I think.
Yeah.
There's not this exposition dump or whatever. And so I will say when Zeb goes to pick up Din at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, I was convinced that Ezra was going to pop out of that thing and deflect and blaster bolts or something like that, so like Din could get in and stuff like. And that didn't happen, and that's fine. But I was like, there's no way that won't happen, right?
I mean, there were so many times throughout this movie where I was like, oh, something's going to happen right here, or like somebody's going to fit it, like somebody's going to be here, and then they weren't. And I don't think. Look, it's an interesting thing because a lot of times, or I mean, not even a lot of times, but like anytime something comes out on Disney Plus now, not even just Star Wars, Marvel, whatever it is, people gauge watching it on how much homework they think they've had to do for watching it. Of, okay, it's a Mandalorian movie. Do I need to watch the show before seeing this?
Yeah.
It's a Maul show. Do I need to know anything about Maul before going into it? There's an Avengers movie coming out. Do I need to watch Miss Marvel? Do I need to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier? Do I need to watch WandaVision, right? And I think there's been a weird like overcorrection of people being like, even in press, of like, you don't need to see anything else, but you just need to know what the Star Wars logo looks like before going into this. You can watch this movie and you're going to have a blast. And I understand why they're doing that, because there are people who are like, oh, I don't want to see it till I got to do all this homework first.
Yeah.
I'll watch it in a month before I binge this. Or like, I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe I'll do a rewatch before the movie comes out. And like, there aren't people who are going to put that work in, or like a lot of people who think there is a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to see that stuff. And this movie, you absolutely have never had to have seen any other Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anything with the show, literally anything with the Star Wars logo attached to it, you have not needed to have seen before going into it. And as much as that is a good thing to like, it's not something that you require of people, because if it was the opposite way of like, no, you before watching this movie, you need to watch 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, people would have been like, what? I got to pay for a Disney Plus subscription. I already got this to pay for. Gas prices are insane. And you want me to I got to go to work, man. And you want me to watch 3 seasons of a show before a movie comes out that I got to pay for, and an $80 popcorn bucket. Like there's time and money that people are required to do something. And I do think it's good that this movie didn't have any of that, but there is also something to be said for leaving something in for the fans who, I don't want to say should be rewarded, but fans who are here who are watching all of that stuff. And you could say stuff like the droid Gatra, or like seeing like droid gunships, or like weird little things like throughout that are references, like the Dejarik match, and like that being a chessboard thing. Like there's so much in this movie that is in a reference to other things in Star Wars that's fantastic, and I love that. But I'm like, there could have just been one other thing, and I don't know what that thing would be. And maybe I'm selfish, and maybe I'm too MCU-ified for a Star Wars fan in this day and age, but like, I would have liked, look, we got Ahsoka coming out next year. I would have loved to see something like, even at the end of Mando season 3, Zeb shows up and you're like, Zeb? What? That's awesome. And people don't know who Zeb is, who haven't seen Rebels, or like if they're casuals watching it. And something like there are a lot of characters in this movie that could have just been other characters, I feel like. And the galaxy is big, obviously, and I don't like when somebody says like, oh, it could have been this character, and they're like, oh, you think the galaxy's only a planet big? Like there's so many things in the galaxy. And I'm not trying to minimize the galaxy, but I am like, the log line of this movie was the Mandalorian and Grogu are hired by the New Republic as basically mercenaries to go out and hunt down the Imperial Remnant warlords throughout the galaxy for the New Republic. We got that for like a third of the movie.
Yeah.
And that was cool, but then it turned into the Hutt stuff, which didn't have really anything to do with the Imperial Remnant stuff other than the fact that they were supplying info to the New Republic, but also two-timing them with the Imperial Remnant.
Yeah.
And like I was shocked that we didn't have more stormtroopers in this movie.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. There's the snowtroopers, and then there's the ones on like the little base thing, which was on like the like sand, like the kind of beach planet. And that's pretty much it. You know, like the coin gets turned in, and then it's like the Imperial stuff kind of goes away, and then like later on, Ward is just like, oh, and coin said everything, and we're like, oh, okay, you know, because that was one of the big things. Is you were like, when we walked out, you were like, man, I am shocked how much of this movie is on Nal Hutta. Like,
dude, it's so much of this movie is on Nal Hutta.
Yeah,
so much, and that's like, I mean, I can't really think of a Star Wars movie where they really stick to one planet. It's the Adelphi base, it's Nal Hutta, it's Shikari, and then the planet at the beginning that a lot of people are like, are they going to confirm that it's Hoth? But like,
and then there was then Navarro, and
Navarro,
and then whatever planet he goes to go, like Shikari adjacent. That's like where the base is at, where Coin is at.
Oh, I just figured that was on the same planet.
You think that's on Shikari?
I thought that was on the same planet. Like that's the city, and he lives on the beaches.
Oh, maybe.
Because I don't think they would have traveled that. Because Rada says at one point, he's like, "Oh, we went to his house for dinner."
I assumed it was on a different planet. I just assumed it was on the same system but a different planet. Of like, oh, his mansion is on a different, like away from the city.
I mean, I guess you can do that in terms of Star Wars, but like I guess I assumed it was on the same planet, or think it's on the same planet, due to the fact that like he's what's his name, Johnny Coin is he's in hiding, so like for him to be able to like travel back and forth between planets, he's also like he's in hiding, but he's also like a leader of the underground on Shikari. That like for him to be able to like, that seems like a lot of moving for some guy who's trying to stay hidden,
probably,
I guess. And also like the Rada thing of like, we went there after a match for dinner to celebrate, and there were stormtroopers everywhere. I'm like, if it's like, I mean, I know it's Star Wars and time is kind of different, but like, like, all right, we're gonna go to this planet for dinner, which is like, it's like a very Star Warsy, jokey thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, then you're probably right. It probably is on the same planet. I'm gonna. We brought up some. There's a lot of people in the chat brought up some super chats. Is this all? This is, some of these are from last week. I was like, what? What are did we not like brought all these up? I guess not. Are you
in the starred section?
Yeah. I'm going from the most recent back up. Coco Chris, thank you for the $10 super chat. Seriously, you do not need to do that.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate you.
Felt like a missed opportunity. Didn't react to the droid gotcha being battle droids. The Anzellan puppet stuff was awesome, though. They're hilarious. Anzellans are great. They're really fun. It is interesting that like Din has kind of moved past this whole droid thing, which I mean is a character development, but also is like, that's like, I mean, direct nemesises of like his origin, you know?
I will say, I do think there's something to be said for like the IG-11 of it all, of like over 3 seasons of him being good with that, to the point where like Grogu wears IG-11 as a mech suit.
Yeah.
So like, I guess droids are just droid, and like R5 saves them in Mando season 3 and like stuff like that, where I'm like, you can gather him not being like too worried about droids, but like him seeing like a super battle droid, I'm like, I would have liked to see something like at least, and maybe not like him being scared or something, but at least him being like, I don't know, in the same way the Anzellans take out the rat at the end of like, we got our lick back. I'm like, maybe I'd like to see him like take out a couple super battle droids, you know? Yeah,
he takes like one or two out, because there's one that he's taking out when he's like poisoned. And I got to talk about that moment in the movie here in a second. But yeah, it's a little just kind of like, okay, when he is dicing up these droids, and it is fun that it is like a actual like a manifestation of like his like one of his biggest fears from the season 1, but they don't really ever acknowledge it. Like casual audiences aren't really going to know that. Eli, I believe Eli Howgardy, Howgardy. I don't know. That's how I'm going to say it.
That's a cool profile picture. Like it's like Grogu is like a Mando.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That is cool.
That's sick.
That's fun. Best opportunity, I must say, I feel like this movie was ultimately made ode to the late great Jim Henson. I give the adventure film a solid 8. Definitely a lot of Jim Henson isms in here. It does go back and forth between puppets in some places and CG in others, but it's really great.
I cannot say enough about how much I loved the use of puppets in this movie.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like,
yeah.
And I think that lends to why I said, like, this feels like some of the Ewok adventure stuff of like, that is such a big part of like the Jim Henson factory and the Jim Henson workshop of like the creature shop and that all of that being used and like the Phil Tippett of it all with the stop motion and stuff. There were so many moments in this movie where I'm like, that's what I want from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Full stop. I want puppetry. I want stop motion. I want weird little creature guys that aren't always CGI. I'll take CG, but like they don't always have to be CG, or they switch back and forth. Like Grogu switches back and forth between CG and puppet in this a lot. Like when he's climbing, when he opens the door for Mando and he kind of like walks up. There's a part where it looks like he's a puppet, but it's like it's absolutely CG.
Yeah.
I loved that aspect of it. If you give me, dude, there was a Domino's commercial on yesterday and they had a puppet. Like it was like his name was like Dom Domino. And I was like, I want Domino's now. If you put a puppet in it and it's a guy with a puppet who made a puppet and it's not AI rules over puppets in my heart, dude. Or puppets rule over AI in my heart.
I was like, wait, I was like, what?
Dude, I loved it. It was that's such a good point, Eli. Fantastic point.
I agree. This is something we haven't talked a little bit about, and I don't know if I have a whole lot of thoughts to say, but Alexander was saying, let's talk about box office. It looks like it's not going to have a great second weekend drop, and that's a big concern. Thoughts on that? I don't know exactly how it tracked for the first weekend. I know it didn't do like spectacular, but it did make like its money back, I think.
I think it did better than initial projections for the opening weekend.
Really? Oh, okay.
If I remember seeing that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I that was a concerning thing for me, mainly because I'm just like, I don't like. I'll get into it in our rankings here in a little bit for the films, but one of my favorite movies is Solo, and that movie did not perform very well. And there was a lot of there was a lot of things that they extrapolated from the performance of that movie that I thought were, not the best, of like the recasting and stuff like that, or people don't want the standalone movies anymore, which, is kind of a concern to me. But regarding this specifically, like, I guess we'll just have to see. I mean, there's not much I really like we can do about it other than like, just go watch the movie. But I also don't really know internally, like, were they expecting it to be like this, like, this $1 billion movie? I don't think so. Like,
also, like, this is the first Star Wars movie. Like, so many people are like, this is the return for Star Wars, and since Rise of Skywalker, it's the first Star Wars movie in 7 years, and like, it wasn't supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is like something where you leave a lot of grace for something like this, where like there were 3 movies that were announced before this movie even was talked about, and none of those movies were made. And even stuff like that we've heard about, like a Rey movie that was supposed to get made, that people that I forget what the guy's name is. He's been talking about it now. The freaking Hunt for Ben Solo movie. Like, there was so much other stuff that was supposed to fill in that 7-year gap from Rise of Skywalker to now. Yeah. This is just what stood the test of time of like, it just made it through the miracle of movie making. And true. I do think it was great that this came out before Starfighter, because if this was a whole nother year and next year was the first Star Wars movie, and it's the 50-year anniversary of Star Wars. This is the first Star Wars movie in theaters since Rise of Skywalker. It's set after the sequels. I do think it was good that this movie came out, because next year Starfighter can carry a lot of that weight without carrying enough of that weight of like, Star Wars is back in theaters. This is the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just Star Wars is in theaters again. Next year we're getting another Star Wars movie, which is good. I also like, truthfully, as much as this is something in our industry of like, as people, I wouldn't even really necessarily call our industry. We talk about Star Wars. We are a Star Wars show. We talk about other comics and stuff like that. We love that stuff as well, but we are 80% Star Wars, maybe 70% Star Wars, 30% other stuff. Especially when Star Wars is coming out, we're 100% Star Wars, 0% other stuff than being like me sending Grayson a thing of like, oh, did you see they leaked stuff for the Batman? But like, we are not critics. We like Star Wars, and we are Star Wars fans that are talking about Star Wars. So when I see something like box office projections, that's something that I'm like, oh, it's interesting to think about, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
It doesn't really mean much to me to know how many millions of dollars Disney made off of this movie. All I care about is like, did the people who were making it have a good time? Were the people making it good people? And did I like the movie? And if those 3 boxes are checked, I'll talk about everything else and talk about what I liked and what I don't like. But if those 3 things are cool, I think it's a solid movie in my book. And like, you look at Rotten Tomatoes and it's like the popcorn meter is 88% and the tomato score is like, what? The tomato meter is like 61 or 62%.
Right.
It's like, so what's the difference? I liked it. There's 88% of other people who are reviewing it also liked it with what, 5,000 verified ratings, like 5,000 plus. It's like, if people are going to go in and see this, this is a movie where like down the line, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 15 years, maybe in 5 years, people are like, there's going to be real diehard fans of this movie specifically. And I love that. Is it going to be something that becomes a diehard fandom for me specifically of like, I love Star Tours, or like, I love The Acolyte, or like, I love Clone Wars, or like, I love this specific arc of Clone Wars. It's like, everybody has their like weird little niche that they fit in Star Wars. I don't know if this will end up being it. There are parts of this movie that I really enjoy. I have to keep seeing it. I've only seen this movie 2.25 times.
Yeah.
I've lived with those movies for years and years at this point now. And I do think I'm going to come up on this movie a whole lot of like, this is going to be a heart warmer for me of like, this is going to be a safe movie, something I'm going to be able to put on in the background and just watch. And like every once in a while go, I want to watch Mando and Grogu, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that that's what it's going to be. This isn't something where like where we watch, I don't know, Empire or Return of the Jedi. And we're like, okay, what this in this scene, and he says this line and this line, it mirrors this line, and his cadence is why he says. We're not doing that with Mando and Grogu.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit different that way. I gotta use the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna let you talk to the chat. I'll be right back.
You're good. Okay. Chat. When Grayson gets back, as long as he's cool with it, we got some rank Ferric to do. It was 98 million for the 4-day, 167 worldwide for the weekend. I also am just like, I don't know what is good and what is bad in this post-COVID world for an IP like this. Have we gotten a superhero flick post-COVID that has like hit that billion? And I don't mean Dune or anything like that, because I don't even know if Dune was, but like in like a Marvel and a DC and a Star Wars, has there been anything that hit like that billion mark that like we were all talking about of like No Way Home? But no, I consider No Way Home a COVID era film because it was made during that time and it came out so close to that time finishing up. So it's hard for me not to put that in the COVID era of things, I guess. But I guess if that's the last one, that's the last one. And dude, No Way Home feels like decades ago. Like it feels like a million years ago No Way Home came out. I think the sequel trilogy movies were those were all pre-COVID. What I was talking about was like talking about the box office stuff, and we'll do rank Ferric after this if you want, but like
sure.
I was talking about the box office stuff of like I don't feel or I mean I'm unaware of a movie in the post-COVID era or like that has hit that Billy mark, and everybody was like No Way Home for like a comic book movie, but I'm also like
yeah,
I don't know about you, it could be different for you, but I'm like I think No Way Home, it feels like a COVID era movie to me because that was like everybody's first time back in. That was like a lot of people's first time back in theaters since COVID.
Yeah, that one. I mean, you're saying post COVID or during COVID?
I'm saying post COVID, but I'm like No Way Home. I understand is post COVID because it was like opening in theaters and stuff like that. We were able to go watch it in theaters, but it does feel like a COVID era movie to me.
I mean, it definitely was. Like, it was still like, in the middle of tapering off, like COVID stuff. I don't think really ended for like another like 6 months after that. 5 to 6 months. I was trying to think. I'm like, I mean, Avatar did $1 billion, right? Avatar 3,
yeah,
and Avatar 2, which those movies are monsters. I don't even know. Like, part of me is I'm like, how do I like? I mean, I like Avatar, but I'm like, and then
I've only ever seen the first one.
Second one's really good. And then I was looking at Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 did not make it $1 billion, but it got 715 million. So
Deadpool and Wolverine's a good call out.
Was that $1 billion?
I don't know.
So,
but I mean, if I had to,
it got
$1,
1.3 billion. Yeah, that one was a big one. But that was, I mean, that's also like Hugh Jackman was like coming back and was like the face of it, and yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on there. So,
Gabby, I'll watch Avatar 2 when you watch the Clone Wars movie.
You never seen the Clone Wars movie?
No.
Everybody that I saw said that they liked Avatar 3. So this is an interesting take. I don't know. I've not heard about that.
I don't know. I ain't never seen no Avatar 3.
There was one last point that I was going to bring up about something that I was like that I like felt on the fence about with the movie, and was like, this movie, I think about, there's like a lot of like emotional moments in Star Wars that I really enjoy. And there was a moment in this film where I did like a moment and a section where I did start to get emotional. And that was Din when he was poisoned running through the woods, and it's playing this really beautiful score and everything. And I was like, oh man, I was like, are they about to do it? I was like, are they going to?
The whole time I was convinced.
Yeah, I was like, they might do it. And then of course they don't. Then you get the section with Grogu trying to like rehabilitate him, which is so The Last of Us coded.
Yeah,
like Ellie trying to fix up like Joel, which is funny because in the show Joel is played by Pedro Pascal, and like all of that stuff, and that's people are like, oh, that section like maybe it's a little drawn out. I do like that section a lot.
I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's great. And then like obviously he gets rehabilitated and they kind of get back into the fray. But yeah, that was, yeah, this is true. Like at that point which I did think was a interesting, like probably the smallest, or not the smallest, but like the most significant part of like of Din's character arc is of like him accepting that like Grogu could be on his own sort of thing. And he's just like, hey, like I'm going to do this for him. Like, go on kid sort of thing, which is also like Din Djarin, I think is going to do that regardless. Cause like, I think part of him realizes like that's just like what he has to do, sort of thing.
Yeah. When the ship flies away and he's like, "Goodbye, kid," and he sees the ship fly over, I'm like, "Oh boy."
Yeah. And I will say, part of me walking out of this movie, I was like, "Man, I think this movie would be like a 10 out of 10 for me if they did kill him." But like, not that I want him to die, but I was like, I really wanted a big emotional moment, and I wanted a big emotional payoff. And I'm glad they didn't, because I want more adventures with him, and I think there's so much more of a story to be told. And like, I think this would have been a very interesting place to kill him off. But I did want some sort of big emotional beats, And someone earlier, they were like, I said how like it kind of starts where it leaves off. Like, they're like, oh, Grogu. They were like, no, Grogu like is like more like, it shows that he's more capable. And I'm like, well, he was very capable at the beginning of this movie, and he was very capable at the end of Mando season 3. So it wasn't a huge like we got his like solo time, but like it wasn't this whole like, oh, he's so like he's grown so much. I think it's just Din putting a little bit more trust in him, if that makes sense.
It seemed like they were convincing the audience that Grogu is a 1A and 1B to the Mandalorian, rather than in the world of the Mandalorian trying to prove that to Din Djarin himself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're like a package deal sort of thing, but I mean, the movie is, like I said in our little mini review, it's called The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Right.
And so like, I failed to recognize, like I kind of forgot about the Grogu part because I was so fixated on the Mandalorian part. But I will say one thing I do think they should have done in this movie, if I had to change one thing to kind of in line with my thoughts that I would have liked to see, and it's not a complaint per se, but it's more of just like a wish, is I would have liked for Grogu to have said something. One word. Something like that. I think that one little thing would have been like, oh man, okay, we're setting them off in a big growth pattern. Because like, and I want Grogu to be aged up a little bit. Not like dramatically, like I think obviously it's got to be slow because of the way he ages. But I'm like, man, would have loved if he had just said one word. Like, father, or like, something like that. Like in like maybe not even like a full sentence or whatever, but like, and I think that's a hard thing for them to navigate because I don't even think they like know what Grogu would sound like,
Yeah, I don't think they've crossed that bridge yet.
Yeah. And I think they're waiting for it, but I mean, I'm excited for the day to come. I was kind of like, oh, that would have been enough for me, despite any other characters.
What your opinion on the helmet rule is now after seeing this movie?
I didn't get hung up on that. I thought about all the other times of when he took off his helmet, and I was like, okay, first time was with the droid.
Yep.
Also, kind of weird. In season 1, when they're on the farm planet, he takes his helmet off, like while he's like eating, but he's like, it's in front of a full window, and he's just like eating in front of the window. They don't show it, and I'm like, I always thought that was kind of funny.
He's devout, but he's not that devout.
Yeah, like he's just kind of like, like people like look over in my general direction. I'm like, and then
he's not closing pill windows blinds devout for the Mandalorian Creed.
Yeah, and then he does it again when he has to do that face scanner thing,
right?
And then of course at the end of season 2, and then like they set off at season 3 of like, like season 3 in Book of Boba Fett that like he did take off his helmet, all of this stuff, and I'm like, he's not gonna go and kill all those people. He's not gonna go kill Luke Skywalker and Casca Reeves and all of these other he's just not like, or go back and blow up all those Imperials.
He bathed in the waters, so all of those people saw his face, so they don't have to die.
Yes, exactly. In this scenario, I'm like, okay, he's in a room where it's only droids and 2 huts. It makes complete sense in the headspace that he's in of being like, well, yeah, they die.
Hold on. Did Embo see his face?
Embo's like off to the corner. Like, I don't know. Wait, Embo's is right at his shoulder.
Isn't Embo the one who takes the helmet off?
Or is it no, I think Embo leaves, right? Doesn't Embo leave and it's a droid that takes it off?
Like he got his money and then he leaves?
Okay, everyone is saying that, no, he took his money and left, that Embo was already out of the room. No, he didn't.
There are so many scenes in that throne room that I'm like, they all kind of mesh together in my head. Yeah. I got to see the movie again. But like, yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't. But that almost just freaked me out. I'm like,
see, Jacob is saying that he did see his face. Everybody else is saying that he left. I think it was one of the droids like took it off of him. And I think Embo, like,
maybe Embo didn't take the helmet off, but I'm like, was he still in the room?
I don't think
so.
I think
take his money and go.
I think he like took his money and went, right?
Okay. I mean,
because when he shows up later, it's like almost kind of he was just like still hanging around. I don't know. I didn't really think about that too much. And he also kills all the Amani that see him too.
Right.
So
everybody who sees his face dies. My question is it weird that he gets to choose what he does after somebody sees his face? Of like, you've seen my face, now you have to die. Or you've seen my face, I'll let you live and go take a bath.
Yeah. Well, in the instance of when he did the other stuff, it was because of the desperation to get Grogu back, you know?
Right.
Like, and he was having that like emotional connective moment, which I think is good because I think he was kind of like realizing that was more important. But I think in this scenario of like, no, he hates the Hutts. He like, these guys have caused him problems. They've kidnapped him. Like, he's like, all right, like, I mean, literally there's no proof if like that you have seen my face if I just take you out.
Like, is there a little bit of he can use that as a loophole? I mean, he's Mando and he's going to kill people who he needs to kill, but like if he doesn't like somebody, he can just be like, bloop, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think it's just in this specific scenario, you know? I don't think it's more so of like, oh, I can use that as a guise to kill people. Like, that's not the way Din is. I think more so of like, they forcibly took it off of him and he's like, okay, well, you're going to die for that. Like,
yeah, that I guess that's my thing of like, maybe if it was because I'm not, I
like
wasn't
maybe
really
Imbo might know that as well. Like Imbo probably didn't take it. People were like, why didn't Imbo take his helmet off? I'm like, there might be a little bit of a rule. People are like, we probably shouldn't take this Mando's helmet off.
Yeah,
you know? It's kind of the Batman thing too of like, or Spider-Man, you know,
doesn't matter.
Like,
he's under the mask. The mask is what matters.
Yeah, but it's like, but they're like, people like will like intentionally not take it off because they're like, hey, like we gotta, like Joker is almost like respecting his boundaries in that way, and so
he doesn't
like
care.
And so the Hutts are kind of like, oh yeah, we got this guy. Like this guy's not gonna live. And then of course they like. Now I will say, I mean, I think that they would have been a brutal kill, but man, I was hoping he just would have just like when he was like he shoots and then Imbo shows up, like I was like, dude, I was like, it would have been so cold blooded if he just killed him, like the Din with the Hutts.
Oh.
Like Imbo shows up and like deflects the shot, you know. But like I when he's like he shoots, like he was gonna kill him. Like there was no so I'm like that would have been cool to see. But yeah, I think like overall that's just those are like little.
He's right.
That's so true. And I believe
is he alive at this point?
Yeah. Because he's still got a good another like 10 years, I think. I think Shadow of the Sith is 21 ABY. So he's got another 10 years ahead of him. So Ochi's out there.
Boy.
Dude, imagine if Ochi was in this movie. That would have been crazy.
That's the one cameo. Everybody's like, Hera, Ezra, the Ghost Crew. Maybe it's Luke Skywalker, Bo-Katan, the Armorer. Nope. Ochi of Bestoon, baby.
Dude, yeah. Oh my God.
Ochi in his prime, he's moving different.
Dude, he was, bro. He had that like the sword and everything. He's out here squaring up against Mace Windu and stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
But yeah, overall, the more I think on it, I enjoy this movie. I obviously have some gripes. I have things that I wish that happened. I guess what I'll say is, you know, like I'm going to rewatch this movie. I rewatch a lot of Star Wars stuff. That being said, there is stuff in the Mandalorian series that I would rewatch more over this movie.
Yes, I agree.
And sometimes I think about like this being movie caliber. I'm like, man, if they had planned ahead and like, you know, they had waited for the Luke Skywalker thing, like if that had happened in this movie and not in the show,
bananas.
This would immediately be like, oh my God, this is one of the greatest, you know, like the greatest Star Wars movies of all time. It would have been the Darth Maul thing. It would have been the Vader thing. And I'm sure there would have been people complaining of like, oh, cameo, whatever. I'm like, but no, like, but it's like, I mean, I'm going to rewatch that finale of season 2 a million times over. Like, just because it's gosh. But that's also just like Mando. Like, there's stuff that I'm just gonna rewatch more than I am that movie, you know. Or
dude, I watched the Luke Skywalker Cad Bane episode of Book of Boba Fett all the time.
Yeah, I watched my favorite episode that I rewatch all the time is the Prison Break episode in season 1, where they're breaking into the New Republic like prison barge. I love that stuff. That's like I rewatched like, or the premiere season 2 with Cobb Vanth and the Leviathan Great Dragon.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. I think that stuff is so cool. But yeah, overall, like 7 out of 10. Probably going to try to see the movie at least one more time in theaters. Yeah, it's interesting because I have a lot of thoughts, but it's a lot of more so like wishes and wants and like overall things of the adventure that I did enjoy. But I don't have, like I said, I don't have a whole lot to chew on. So I guess that's kind of where I leave my thoughts on the movie. I have more to say when it comes to our ranking of all of the Star Wars films, personally.
Okay.
Shall we?
Think Ferric.
Oh, welcome back to Rank Ferric, everybody's favorite clip farm and a part of Determined Focus. We're going to talk about clips. We're talking about rankings. We're doing one ranking in specific. Don't call me Uncle Owen because I'm not farming moisture. I'm farming clips. We talked about it at the beginning of this episode. We have some other stuff, which I don't know if we'll really get to for Rank Ferric. I think this is going to be kind of bulky. Yeah. We are going to look, a new Star Wars movie is out. There are now 13 Star Wars films that have released theatrically. We are going to go through our personal rankings of those movies, and then we are going to do a Determined Focus top 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool with me.
Do you want to go first?
We're starting from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, I think starting at 13 and going to 1 is
okay.
I will preface this, and I'm going to say it with mine as well. And I'm going to preface this knowing how Grayson feels. We love Star Wars, and we love all of these movies. There are our favorite moments in Star Wars in all of these movies. So where these fall on the list does not mean we don't like a Star Wars movie or that we dislike or hate a Star Wars movie. It's just there's stuff that we like more in other movies.
Yep. Yeah. And like, that's the thing is I'm like, it's hard for me to like one of these being at the bottom of the list does not mean that I do not like the movie. I like all these movies. I love all these movies. It's just, there's things that I like in other ones more. And that's really it. It's more of a preference thing. Yeah. Just our opinion. Like,
this is
and you're
just your opinion, man.
And we're probably going to say some stuff that people are going to completely disagree with. And that is totally okay. All right.
That's fine.
Yeah. Like I just have my preferences. That's all. That's all it is. So at number 13, I have
number 1.
You'll see where it's at. You'll see where it's at.
I get the Venmo and then I'm like, I have a change of mind, actually.
Yeah. At number 13 for me is the Clone Wars 08 movie. Okay. That is not because I actually do enjoy this movie quite a bit. It's mainly just because I'm like, I don't really rewatch it a whole lot. It's when it comes to Clone Wars movies, I have an honorary, like I have like a secret menu of what the 14th, like not like 14th place, but like what the 14th movie is. And it's from Clone Wars, and it's not actually a movie, but it could be a movie.
Yeah.
And that's up at the top. I'll get to that later. But yeah, like I like this movie. It's fun. It's nostalgic. Came out on my birthday in 2008, which is like, you know, is always a fun little nostalgia thing. But I mean, it doesn't. You can definitely tell it's a bunch of episodes stitched together. It's definitely not Clone Wars at its strongest. But it's cool that it exists, and for that, I love it.
Are we going to go back and forth, or do you want to do your whole list and then I do mine?
You want to do my whole list? Okay. All right,
I can go back and forth. My number 13 is also the Clone Wars movie.
Really? Okay.
I love that movie. It's not a movie that I rewatch often. It's probably my least rewatched movie because it is it really is just episodes of the Clone Wars made for a theatrical release. Mm-hmm. And there are, like you said, there is a part of Clone Wars that could have 100% been a theatrical release, and I think should have had a big screen release, and maybe they will one day and just let us watch the whole thing in a theater, which would be lovely if they did. And that would be on my list if it was, but it is not, and that's why this movie, or part of that is why that this movie is my number 13. So for me, number 13, bottom of the list, the Clone Wars movie.
Okay. Maybe what we'll do is we'll, like, if we have one that, like, lines up at the same spot, we'll talk about it, but otherwise we can kind of have an overall discussion. I'm not going to, like, retread the same thoughts or anything.
Yeah.
But this is where I didn't think this would happen so early on, but this is where I'm going to maybe get some flack, or maybe I'm going to have to defend myself a little bit.
If it's Return of the Jedi, just know this is the end of the podcast. If Return of the Jedi is next, it's the end of the podcast, Grayson. Sorry.
And number 12, no, I'm kidding. It's not Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is nowhere near the bottom, actually.
Woo! Good take.
Number 12 for me is The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Okay.
Mainly just because, again, this movie doesn't do a lot of stuff crazy. I like the movie, but I put it in the same caliber of the Clone Wars movie, where I'm like, it's kind of a standalone thing. Yeah. It's a little bit, it's separated. I like it. It's just, when I think about Star Wars movies, when I walked into the movie, I was kind of like, man, that might be my least favorite. Doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means it didn't really stand out for me as like one of my top tier Star Wars films. And that might change over time, but I just it's just kind of how I feel right now. It's just not one of my favorite Star Wars things. We
literally, and I'm not going to talk about my stuff here, but we literally have had less than a month to live with this movie. Mm-hmm. And all the other movies, we've had so much time to learn lore within and dissect and look at visual guides and watch stories within. It makes sense. Why? Because this is the movie we know literally the least amount.
Did you get it? Never mind.
What?
Never mind.
What? What?
Nothing. I can't say anything. Yes, and a lot of these things have changed over time. Like, my rankings do change very often. So that's why it's it probably is going to go up. Do you want to go next, or should I jump to my number 11?
Jump to your number 11.
At number 11 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Wow.
Yeah. Force Awakens. I go back and forth on this film. I really do like it. I think the reason it is so low for me is that a lot of the plot points kind of set up stuff that kind of fizzle out into later movies. Is that the fault of this movie or the fault of the later movies? That's a little bit of a debate. One probably would say it would be like the later films. But for me, the reason it is so low is because it retreads a lot of similar stuff from A New Hope.
Right.
And I love A New Hope. Like, you'll see where that's at in my ranking. For me, I'm like, the Starkiller based stuff, would have liked it if it was something a little bit different. Like the plot of how they destroy, like, little things like that. I'm just kind of like, oh, I think if they had waited a little bit and taken a little bit more risks, the movie would be a lot higher for me. My biggest frustration with this movie and what, like, it is the whole lost Luke Skywalker plot, because it doesn't really make sense. You could attribute that to Last Jedi. You could attribute it to this movie. I think there should have been a little bit more of a plan set up there. But watching this movie, the main thing that doesn't make any sense to me is like how it's split into two halves. I don't understand that, because I'm like, okay, you have a piece of the map, right? And like, we need to get this one chunk, and it's like, well, we have one half, but we need the other half or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to remember which side has which half, but like, and I remember watching it and being like, they literally could just take this chunk of the galaxy map and move it, like, cross-reference it with the greater galaxy.
They could take Bikini Bottom and move it somewhere else.
my God. And it's like, but instead they're like, no, we have to have this. And I'm like, but you already have the smaller portion, right? So like, and I'm like, surely you could figure out where that lines up if you have this access to, I don't know. And then it's like, how did they get access to it in the first place? Where did they get the map from? I don't understand. Where did that, like, that's the whole thing is I'm like, when you, but it's the central plot point of the movie, but it's kind of separated from the circular based stuff. But again, I still really enjoy this movie. I love the snow fight. I love the Kylo Ren Ben Solo stuff. I love Rey in this movie. Visually, it is stunning. The special effects, the sound, it's so good. And God, the memories of watching this movie in theater is awesome. But like, I like the other sequels better, and you'll see where those go at too. So that's my number 11.
Okay.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, keep going, dude.
Okay. And number 10 is The Last Jedi.
Wow, that's so much lower than I thought it was going to be for you.
Dude, there's a lot of Star Wars movies I really like, man. I like The Last Jedi, but half of this movie frustrates me, and half of this movie I love. A lot of people really nitpick the whole Luke Skywalker stuff and everything. I love that stuff. That stuff makes perfect sense to me. I think it's so enthralling. I love when it cuts back to that stuff. But as soon as it cuts over to the stuff with Ben and Rose and the Poe stuff, I'm immediately like, I really want to get back to the Luke Skywalker, Rey, and Kylo Ren stuff right now. I'm like, I really just want to get back to that because I think that's so much more interesting. Yeah. And it's a lot like reading a book, like a Star Wars book. Like, honestly, it reminds me when I was reading the Heir to the Empire trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, and I was like, man, we got all this Talon card crap, you know? Like, not crap. Yeah. It's like, that's me being harsh. I'm being jokingly harsh. But like, I'm like, and I just want to get back to Thrawn and Sabayoth and Luke and Mara, and I'm like, why is Talon Card doing 50 billion things with a bunch of the smugglers and stuff like that? But yeah, I like, again, this movie I think gets way too much hate. It's not one of my favorites. But like the great stuff is so good. It's just that the bad stuff is like, it does knock it down for me.
Yeah.
Quite
Star Wars Insight says Talon Card is the GOAT.
I do like Talon Card, but that stuff in the books, I'm just like, man, can we just like, it's that and the Han Solo stuff where I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, or I'm like, please, can we get back to the other stuff? And sometimes I like Force Awakens a little bit more than The Last Jedi, but I like the different stuff that Last Jedi did. Like, I like the stuff that they do. Like, dude, Kylo killing Snoke in that movie, one of my favorite moments ever. That moment is so sick. Like, I love that inversion. Like, I love the twist of like the apprentice killing the master sort of thing. That, despite the critiques of that throne room fight, I don't care. It's awesome. Like, that movie is so visually stunning. It's I think the big thing coming off of like the sequels again is the kind of disconnect of like where one person left off with the other. But I do enjoy The Last Jedi quite a bit actually, but it's still at my number 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I say you just rip them all.
Okay. All right. At number 9, I have Attack of the Clones. In the same way, love half of this movie. Really don't like another half of it. I don't know. I go back and forth because the stuff with Obi-Wan is awesome. I love that stuff.
Yeah, dude.
It's so good. It's so pulpy. It's like, I love like the adventure thing or whatever. The romance stuff is rough. And it's like
don't tell Isabella. Isabella's gonna be pissed.
I know. That being said, I recently watched the Twilight movies. And after watching those, I kind of have a little bit more of a newfound appreciation for the Anakin Padme stuff and the corny campiness of it. Because those movies are also very corny, campy.
Okay.
But for me, it's like, I'm like, I have such a hard time caring about like Anakin and Padme, like, and they're like, it feels like the relationship is kind of weird, and like I have a hard time like believing it a lot of the times, you know.
Okay.
And so but then again, like I also the lightsaber fights in Attack of the Clones, the weakest out of the prequels, for sure. They're like Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith clear these lightsaber fights. These Attack of the Clones might have some of my least favorite lightsaber fights of all time.
Yeah.
Like the shot with Anakin where it's like Anakin and Dooku and they're just like doing this in front of the camera. I'm like,
I kind of like that.
I don't.
Where it switched between their eyes, dude. That's super samurai, dude.
But it's like they're like not even like hitting anything. I don't know. I'm like,
I know, but I like it. I think it's fun.
Yoda versus Dooku is great. People say that like they hate Yoda like hopping around and stuff. I'm not one of those people. I love the pulling in the lightning and then like repelling it back and stuff like that. Okay, this is fair. Fair, but it's almost like a not like I don't even think about that because it's like it's the first one, you know.
It's like, also like barely choreographed. It's like it's supposed to just look like a samurai movie.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's like it. That is one where I'm kind of like, all right, I kind of give it the benefit of the doubt because they didn't really know what they were like doing yet, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Attack of the Clones is at my number 9.
Okay.
Let me double check something real quick. I can't do it. It would take too long for the joke. I'm sorry, Jacob. But Rise of Skywalker is my number 8. It's not my number 1. People dog on this movie all the time. I get it. It's not like objectively, it has a lot of issues. It really does. But like, there's some awesome stuff in this movie. The opening is my second favorite Star Wars opening of any Star Wars movie. Of like with Kylo. It's so good. I love Exegol. I love the Rey arc in here. Like I really enjoy the stuff. There's problems. There's for sure problems. People say that back treads on Last Jedi stuff or whatever, which I kind of agree. I kind of don't agree.
I think there's backtreading on it throughout the entire sequels. So like,
to
say like, that it only happens in one movie is like it's crazy.
Yeah, I get people get frustrated with the Palpatine stuff. Read Shadow of the Sith. It makes it a whole lot better. It'll make you appreciate this movie a whole lot better, I think. But it's it's middle of the road for me. But there's a lot of stuff in here that I really do enjoy. And I remember watching the movie and being like, no, I liked that. I did not hate that. And then of course, like as people were seeing it more, they were making fun of specific points. And yes, there's some horny dialogue, somehow Palpatine return, blah, blah, blah. Like that his announcement to the galaxy should have been in the film and not in Fortnite. I completely agree. Which is it's a crazy thing, but like, yep, there you go. There you go.
Dude.
It's like actually insane, like that could have been like as soon as Kylo like change the opening crawl and it'd be like Kylo Ren is searching for this stuff, get to Exegol, and then Palpatine like it immediately like cuts to like his speech, shots around the galaxy, and then him laughing, and then transitions back to the rebels and I'm live streaming with a potato right now.
You've been pretty pixelated for like the entirety of the episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I mean it's not a big deal. It's not like you haven't been frozen at any point. It's just
gosh.
You're kind of 8-bit at the moment.
Okay. I mean,
there's a reason I got local recordings on.
yeah, that's fair. Anyway, so I'm not gonna rant too much. I'm trying to defend myself or whatever, but this is interesting. Cold open with the Palpatine speech.
Hey, what's up, Logan?
Yeah, I just realized that was Logan. Oh my god, yeah.
Dude, we got all the just craters in the
I know.
We got 3 out of 4 at the moment.
Yeah. Also, Rise of Skywalker does have amazing gloves. This is true.
Shout out to Jacob for that's a glup buffet.
It's absolutely. At number 7, I have Phantom Menace. I love the Phantom Menace, dude. I could rewatch this movie anytime. You still hear me? Are we still connected?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I think I love the pacing of this movie.
Wait. What's your number 7?
Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the lightsaber fights are great. I love, like, I think the production value is really great in this movie. I think it still holds up phenomenally. I think it's great, man. I really, like, I have a hard time having critiques with this movie. I guess the main thing is, like, I've watched it a lot, so sometimes when it gets to the middle of, like, when they're on Tatooine, like, I'm kind of like, okay, I wish it would, like, speed up a little bit. Like, I've seen this until it gets to the pod race. And once it gets to the pod race, and also another point is when they go back to Coruscant. When they go back to Coruscant and that little section right there, I'm like, okay, this is kind of lagging a little bit. But really, other than that, like, going all the way up to Tatooine, pause a little bit, pod race, pause a little bit, till the Battle of Naboo, like that, like, all of that stuff is great for me.
Yeah.
I love the characters. I love the soundtrack, dude. Oh my god, I love the soundtrack. It's so great. And Duel of the Fates is peak. At number 6, I have Rogue One. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. This used to be much higher for me. I still love this movie. I think in a post-Andor world, I think there's a couple of things where I'm like, it feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect, where there's like some kind of contradictions and things like that. That's also how Star Wars is, so I don't try to get too hung up on it. I love the cast of characters. I love, like, visually, I think the best modern looking Star Wars movie. It's so faithful to the OT, the homages to original stuff and new stuff. Peak dogfighting, peak action, like, great story, great heart. It feels like almost a necessary watch, especially going into A New Hope. And it kind of, we talk about how Andor recontextualized Rogue One and Rogue One recontextualized the original trilogy and A New Hope specifically. Like, I think Rogue One is the gold standard when it comes to, like, a tried and true Star Wars movie with a modern, like, with a modern lens.
I agree.
And it just feels so Star Warsy to me.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it when we get to mine, because I got some thoughts on Rogue One.
Okay. At number 5,
we're in the top 5.
We're in the top 5 for me. Number 5, I have Return of the Jedi. All right. I love Return of the Jedi. Literally, the only complaint is the middle section with the Ewoks. That's it. That's, like, if that was on Kashyyyk and it was with Wookiees like it was supposed to be in the original treatments, Return of the Jedi probably would be my top 3. I love Return of the Jedi. Just like these other 4 a whole lot more. These are my favorites. I don't have much to say. And the end of the saga, or the end of this, like, the episode 6, Return of the Jedi, is just one of my favorite, like, some of my favorite Star Wars. That has my favorite moment in Star Wars, I would say. Or top 3 moments in Star Wars. Can't I fix my camera? Dennis, I wish I could, buddy. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
Dennis. Can't you fix your camera?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Dennis, we appreciate you being here, dude.
Thank y'all. At number 4 is Solo, A Star Wars Story. I love Solo, dude. Genuinely, my only critiques are the color grading and the fact that everything that happens to Han Solo happens a little too quickly. He gets his blaster, he gets the Falcon, he meets Chewie, like, all of the all of the Sabacc game, the Kessel Run, all of that stuff. It happens a little too at close proximity. I wish it was drawn out a little bit more. But, like, I think Alden Ehrenreich does a great job. I think this movie's phenomenally cast. I think it has great pacing, great music, such awesome action. I love the I just love the array. I love the underworld feel of this. There's not really a lightsaber in this movie other than Maul, and that barely counts. But I love the world building of, like, Maul being, like, controlling Crimson Dawn. We wouldn't have Shadow Lord without it. We got Dryden Voss in Shadow Lord 2, which was such a big dub for me. So I just, like, I can throw on Solo anytime, and I love it. I don't know any other way to explain it. It's just, it elevated Han Solo for me in such a big way, and I want Alden and Donald back so badly. And I can honestly see a whole lot of things with these. Like, I'd love to get some more Tobias Beckett. I'm glad we're getting more Dryden Voss and Shadow Lord. Like, I love the designs of this stuff. Like, the AT hauler is sick. The cut to Mimban after Han signs up for the Empire is one of my favorite things ever. Of like it cutting into like
the movie is great.
It's awesome. It's
awesome.
Great. I wish more people would put respect and give it love because I think it's great. So that's and Sonny is saying that the extended edition is perfect. I have the book, so I actually really want to read it. So Cassian was there. He was a cook. What? Is that true?
What?
How would that work? So
Let Cassian cook?
Yeah, true. All right. We're in the top 3 now. Are you okay, Will? Oh no, I think he's blowing his nose. Yeah, okay.
I blew my nose.
Okay. At number 3 is Star Wars, or more specifically, A New Hope for the common audience. You can't beat it, dude. You can't beat it. I mean, well, you can because I have 2 more that beat it. But like,
I literally have 2 more that are right above it.
But like, I love A New Hope. It's like kind of the kind of the gold standard. It's like what started it all. Amazing music. Like it is the Star Wars adventure, dude.
Hey. Spoiler alert, it's not.
Yeah. I wish all these people would be sending me money because this is great. I really need it. I'm just kidding.
Jacob also texted me, by the way, and I said, as soon as you didn't switch it, he texted me and he was like, bribery to move Tross to number 1 spot to start Ochi maxing. And I was like, I was your second choice. I'm no runner up. He said, Grayson betrayed me. I knew you were a real one that I could count on. And I said, you are Palpatine maxing with this opportunist gaslighting. I'm going to Venmo Grayson to move it lower. And then he just sent a photo of Palpatine from Phantom Menace like this with like huge shoulder pads. It says how I feel playing both sides.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Jacob. I let you down.
Jacob.
If it was closer to number 1, I would have trolled a little bit. But it's like, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
But yeah, I love A New Hope. I have such a grand appreciation for this movie as I get older. Like it's the reason why it's a classic. And then at number 2, I have Revenge of the Sith. It's my favorite prequel. It is so well paced. One of the best soundtracks. Best lightsaber fights, best action. It is saga defining. It's peak. I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. It was the first Star Wars movie that I remember seeing, like really remember watching in theaters. Because I watched Attack of the Clones, but I don't really remember a lot about it. I just remember like the Battle of Geonosis when I was like a 3-year-old, and I was like, I couldn't process anything.
Yeah.
I had the attention span of a raisin.
Raisin.
Yeah. So Revenge of the Sith, and also the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, billions must read. And Gabby nailed it. My number 1 is Empire Strikes Back, baby. My favorite movie of all time.
Was anybody surprised? I
love Empire, bro. And it's crazy because growing up, Empire was not my favorite. Actually, growing up, my favorites were Attack of the Clones. Then I switched to Return of the Jedi. Then to Phantom Menace. And then as I got a little bit older, I was like, no, I really like Revenge of the Sith. And then it somehow got to Empire, dude. Empire scared me as a kid. Like, I don't even know how to... I just was like... It like gave me this feeling of dread. And now I'm like, man, this movie is like... It's one of the greatest sequels of all time. My only critique of this movie is the Luke and Leia kiss. It's clowned on. It's memed on. It is the only thing that I do not like about this movie that I wish did not happen. If you took that out, all right, like, and in the context of Return of the Jedi, it'd be fine. Like low key, if they were like went back and they were like, actually Leia kissed Chewie, I would have been like, yeah, that's way better. like that would have been what I'd rather kiss a Wookiee and she does. Like that would have been.
They add in like a Sora AI where Leia like gets up and like.
Oh no!
It's just awful. God. It's just awful redone of like.
Yeah.
and like her hand goes through Chewie's head.
No, I get it. They didn't know, but it's still like, but you still kind of cringe when you watch it. You're like, ooh, and especially when you're watching.
But when they made Return of the Jedi, they did know that had already happened, and they did nothing with it. So,
and also Return of the Jedi, Leia literally goes, "Somehow I've always known you've been my brother."
Like, so you always,
yeah,
even when smooching, huh?
Yeah, like when we were watching, my dad and I were watching Return of the Jedi with a live orchestra, and it got to that moment when she's saying that, she's like, "Somehow I've always known." Everybody went, ew.
The orchestra goes womp womp.
Yeah. Like it's like you could have taken that line out and have been like, yeah. But it's also like it's a weird thing to navigate,
Yeah.
But I love that I love that Luke and Leia are siblings. Like it's just one of my favorite things. Like Luke and Leia's theme, one of my favorite themes.
Phenomenal.
Of the Jedi. It's so good, and I wish it was used more often.
Yeah. I wish Leia and Luke were just used more often.
I agree. And here's a point that I will always make, is people will dog on the sequels, they'll dog on the prequels for things that don't make sense, and then they just refuse to acknowledge in the OT when things don't make sense either.
Right.
Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing.
Bro, you're so pixelated right now. That was crazy.
Star Wars has been imperfect from the very beginning.
Yep.
It has so many issues throughout the entire saga. There is retcons and contradictions and weird little choices that don't make sense. And you just got to embrace them. You just got to understand that that's just how it is.
It's truly, the older I get, the more that I'm like, those little things are what makes Star Wars even more perfect to me.
Absolutely. If you don't have that stuff, like Star Wars isn't the same.
Yep. Yeah. You need it. It's part of Star Wars. It's part of the fabric of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Of weird huh? And then 10 years later, you're like, oh, that's the best. Why'd they do that?
Exactly.
Yep.
So that is my ranking, my 13 of Star Wars films. I'll go back really quick, just read them off one more time. 13 Clone Wars, 12 Mando and Grogu, 11 Force Awakens, 10 Last Jedi, 9 Attack of the Clones, 8 Rise of Skywalker, 7 The Phantom Menace, 6 Rogue One, 5 Return of the Jedi, 4 Solo, 3 A New Hope, 2 Revenge of the Sith, 1 Empire Strikes Back.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm up. Okay. So I will say a lot of ours surprised me that they're in the same place.
Really?
Yep. There are a lot.
How many of these are in the same place?
There's a good amount that I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Okay.
Okay. We talked about it earlier. It was in the same place. My number 13 is the Clone Wars movie. It is literally a bunch of episodes of the Clone Wars pushed together for a theatrical release to get people excited for the Cartoon Network series that would be coming later. And as much as it's fun and as much as it is a good time, there are moments in the Clone Wars that to me should have been a movie and could have been a movie and feel like a movie that make this a lot less, I don't know, exciting, even though it is fun. It's a part of Star Wars history and I really enjoy it. My number 12, sorry, Jacob, is The Rise of Skywalker. As much as I enjoy so much of this movie, the parts that I enjoy about this movie are overtaken by the parts of this movie that I don't enjoy. And every time I rewatch this movie, I like it a little bit more, but it is very low on my list because I'm just like, there's just a lot of this movie that I'm like, it's very choppy to me. In terms of what I enjoy for Star Wars, my favorite part of this movie is Kylo Ren, is Ben Solo. And that is what made me so excited for a Hunt for Ben Solo movie that could have happened, because he's my favorite part of the sequels. And that movie could have been phenomenal because of how much I was like watching Rise of Skywalker going, I want more of that.
Yeah.
My number 11 Here's another one that we agreed on is The Force Awakens. As much as I enjoy this movie and I have such fond memories of this movie coming out and what the era of this movie was, there's a lot of retreading this movie. And this movie, in the same way I kind of feel about Mando and Grogu, is kind of Star Toursy.
Yeah.
The more that we get in the parks that feels like Force Awakens to me, the more that Force Awakens feels Star Toursy to me. And that's not a bad thing, but to think of like the weight that movie held and then getting what we got, it just puts it a little bit lower on the list for me. My number 10 is The Mandalorian and Grogu. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm a lot higher on it than I think a lot of other people that I've seen online. Yeah. I think I will continue to get higher on this movie as I rewatch it and as this movie lives with me as a Star Wars fan. But in the 2 weeks that I've lived with having seen this movie, taking out the experience and the fun that we've had with the time of this movie's at number 10 for me. My number 9 originally was my favorite prequel movie as a kid, but is now my number 9, Attack of the Clones. This movie is a blast, but oh my gosh, it feels like a bunch of different movies put together at times.
Yeah.
And a bunch of different stories and a bunch of different books put together. It feels like I'm reading a bunch of different books at once. And sometimes I just want the one book. And that one book is all the Jedi stuff that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Not saying I am less aggressive towards the romance stuff. I do think that is a large part of Anakin. And the more that I rewatch that movie, the more that it doesn't bother me as much as it did as a kid who I was just like, I just want to watch lightsabers. But like, there are moments where I'm just like, it's not what I like. It's not what I like the most about Star Wars to watch and rewatch.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Rogue One. I really like Rogue One, but I like Andor so much more than I like Rogue One. And I think Andor does Rogue One better than Rogue One did. As much as it is fantastic, and I love that movie, and there's a lot of stuff in that movie. In the same way Mando and Grogu feels like a love letter to the era of Return of the Jedi, Rogue One feels like such a love letter to the era of A New Hope.
Yeah.
And I love that, but there are parts of that movie that drop it a little bit for me in terms of what I like to see in a Star Wars movie. As me personally, I like the Vader stuff. Truthfully, Vader is not my favorite character when it comes to Star Wars. I think he is the crux of Star Wars, but I am just so much more interested in everything that revolves around that character versus the character himself. So even that at the end of the movie doesn't necessarily hold as much weight to something like a Luke Skywalker and Book of Boba Fett does.
Yeah.
So continuing on, my number 7 is a movie that we both really enjoy. However, I am so much lower on it than you, unfortunately, is Solo. Solo is a blast. Truthfully, growing up, Han Solo was my least favorite of the OT cast. And getting a movie about him made me like him so much more in college or high school, whenever that movie came out. I don't even remember. I really liked that movie, and I wish we had gotten more. Alden is great. Dude, Donald Glover as Lando is phenomenal casting. And so much of that movie was great world building. It's just, there's a lot of that movie that I'm like, very much like Mando and Grogu and Rogue One and Attack of the Clones, where I'm like, there are parts of that movie that if I have the ability to skip, I will skip because I'm trying to get faster to my favorite parts during a rewatch. My number 6 is Phantom Menace. I really like Phantom Menace. Truthfully, it was my least favorite of the prequels as a kid. But as I get older, it is absolutely not my favorite of the prequels, but so many of those moments are what I love about Star Wars. And I think the biggest thing throughout this entire list is the higher these movies are on this list, the more the movie has of what I love about Star Wars, and Phantom Menace has a lot of it. There are just some points where I'm like, we can move through this. Where there are parts of kind of like chapters of a book where I'm like, I don't really need to reread that. That's how I feel about some parts of Phantom Menace. My number 5 is The Last Jedi. There are parts of this movie that I think are skippable in terms of my rewatches where I'm just trying to get to the parts that I really like. The Last Jedi, The Phantom Menace, and The Empire Strikes Back have my 3 favorite messages in all of Star Wars. I love, the older I get, what Luke's character became at the end of that movie. And seeing Luke go through the trouble that he did and end up still being the hero at the end of the day, that legend, that Luke Skywalker, that means so much more to me as an adult. And as I get older, that message makes this movie a top 5 for me. Yeah. There are parts of this movie that aren't the best, but there's so much that this movie does. It's also a beautiful movie, like in terms of what I'm watching. It's fantastic. I will also say that's in the sequels, Rey's Last Jedi look is the best of her looks by far. I
agree.
My number 4 is Revenge of the Sith. This movie was my entire personality as a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, whatever era or whatever year this movie came out, how old I was. I was Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith for the following 4 Halloweens after this. I love this movie so much for all of its good and for all of its bad. And when I say it's bad, it's not necessarily bad in my mind, but what people throw at as the bad of this movie, I really love about the movie. And I think adds to the charm of what ended up being the thing that bridged the gap between the prequels and the OT. My number 3 is A New Hope. I love A New Hope. However, it is of the original trilogy the lowest for me because Luke Skywalker is my favorite character in Star Wars outside of Ahsoka Tano. And in this movie, this is the movie that I like Luke the least.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because he is the ignorant young kid farm boy. Leia is a tour de force in this movie, which is nothing that anybody hasn't thought before. Han's fine in this movie too. This movie does such a great job of the world building, and very much like Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character in this movie, without question. My number 2 is The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back has arguably my favorite scene in all of Star Wars with Yoda lifting the X-Wing. I think a lot of people feel that way. I will say, as much as Empire Strikes Back is always the movie that, during Christmas time and holiday time, would always be the movie that whenever I turn on the TV for, a Star Wars marathon, kind of was just always the movie that was on. I love that movie. I also love the era of that movie for behind-the-scenes stuff. Ralph McQuarrie, Joe Johnston. This movie elevated so much about the lore of Star Wars, which is where I sit in terms of what I love most about Star Wars. And my number 1 by a mile. This list will change a lot day to day of what's going on below the number 1 spot. These movies can flip after I rewatch. They'll change throughout. This is an ever-moving list. The one constant on this list is Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie of all time and my favorite Star Wars movie because of the message with Luke. It has the best opening of any movie of all time with the palace, with Jabba's palace and Luke. And then we get Luke. Dude, the older I get, Luke going back to see Yoda and then talking to Obi-Wan as a Force ghost, the more that I'm like, man, this is everything I love about Star Wars. There's some parts in the movie that I'm like, yeah, the Ewok stuff is the Ewok stuff. And I love it for the charm of that era of Star Wars, of the puppetry, of the creature shop, of the Jim Henson of it all. I know a lot of people are a lot lower on that, but I do think that everything in terms of the charm and the heart of Star Wars that I love in Star Wars happens within the start and the end of Return of the Jedi. And that's why I love that movie so much. Also, I am a Jedi like my father before me. Know Your Highness, and throwing away the lightsaber is the best scene in Star Wars to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that moment. And everything in Star Wars, when I think of moments I like in other movies, always makes me feel better about Return of the Jedi, because I take moments and I'm like, man, that makes Return of the Jedi so much better.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is like, it feels like where the Star Wars fandom kind of culminated into what it is, into like the foundation of what it is now, of like the behind the scenes stuff, the Jedi of it all, the lore of it all. But then also you get like the charm with obviously the puppetry, like I said, but then you also get like, it's still dark at times in the same way Empire is, which Empire is a blast. It's just why Empire is at my number 2 is it is a little dark at times. And as a kid, like you said, I was terrified of Empire. As much as I like those moments, there were moments that I went up to the VHS and I fast forward because I was like, I'm too scared to watch this.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, I never had that. And it everything I love about Star Wars is, like I said, within the beginning and the end of Return of the Jedi. So at 13 is the Clone Wars movie. At 12 is Rise of Skywalker. At 11 is Force Awakens. 10 is The Mandalorian and Grogu. 9 is Attack of the Clones. 8 is Rogue One. 7 is Solo. 6 is Episode 1. My top 5, The Last Jedi. Episode 3, A New Hope. At number 2 is The Empire Strikes Back. And at number 1 is Return of the Jedi. And that's my 13.
Okay.
So
I had like a little under half in the same spots.
yeah, there were a bunch where I was like, oh, that's interesting that they were in the same spot, but
yeah,
it makes sense.
So it sounds like that we have to have Jedi, Empire, Revenge, and A New Hope all in the top 5. Somewhere in there.
I agree that those are all kind of the 4 for us.
And it sounds like, as the culminative list, is that it would be, I think, Empire, Jedi, Revenge. That would be because Empire's your 2?
Empire's my 2.
Okay, so and that's my number 1. So I think that would, but then Jedi
I'm
is my
fine
5.
with having I'm fine with having Empire at number 1.
So what I'm thinking is we do Empire at number 1.
Yep.
Jedi at number 2.
Yep.
Revenge of the Sith at number 3.
I'm cool with that.
Number 4, A New Hope.
I'm cool with that.
And then this is the 5th spot is where it gets tricky.
Yeah, because your 5 is Solo and your 3 is Solo?
It's my number 4.
Is there 4? And then because my 5 is Last Jedi.
Okay, Last Jedi's at 10 for me.
Yeah, so I don't think Last Jedi can make it into the top 5.
Where does Rogue One land for you?
It's at 8 for me.
Okay, it's at my 6.
Where's Phantom Menace for you?
7.
I'm 6 for Phantom Menace, and I'm 7 for Solo.
Okay, so it definitely leans to either Solo or Phantom Menace at the 5 spot.
Yeah, I'm okay with Solo.
I'd be fine with either of those, truthfully.
Yeah, I really. They're both so equal to me in terms of like what I like about those movies and in terms of rewatching them, that like the 6 through 9, those 4 movies change for me all the time.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones, Rogue One, Phantom Menace, and Solo. Those movies change all the time for me.
Yeah.
Of like what their placement is. So I'm fine with Solo being the 5th. I love that movie.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm cool with that.
So, number 5, Solo. Number 4, A New Hope. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, Return of the Jedi. And number 1, Empire Strikes Back. For Determined Focus's top 5.
That works. Works for me.
Hey, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we made everybody very happy.
I'm sure everybody agrees, and everybody's list is exactly the same.
Apparently not. But like, this is one of those things where I'm like, it's good that people's lists are so different because like everyone's gonna have different tastes and things like that when it comes to this stuff, and that's fun. That's a cool thing that we can help like each other enjoy more of these things, and I'm never gonna like rag on somebody's list. Like I've got my preferences and I'll talk about it, but I mean, even
there have also been so many times where like somebody has talked about a scene that's not necessarily like a scene that I don't like, but a scene that I maybe didn't understand or like kind of shrugged off at times, where people come on and tell me why it's their favorite, and I'm like, and I'll go watch it through their lens, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this is awesome. And I love that part of Star Wars. That's my favorite part of Star Wars.
Yeah. It's all from a certain point of view, and wait, do we have anything else we need to talk about? Maybe I found the perfect point.
I don't believe so. I think that was kind of it for the 2 hours.
Okay. Maybe the whole point here is with your thoughts on the Mandalorian and Grogu and these other opinions that it comes to Star Wars, your focus determines your reality.
Bye-bye.
Always remember.